Alrighty guys, I am doing some laundry and decided, hey, why not riff and make another video on doing laundry, talking about the same subject I was talking about yesterday, which was the subject of heartbreak. And earlier today I was thinking just about some things that I would have liked to add to yesterday. Like I said yesterday, I was thinking about the subject about how getting older helps us recover from heartbreak, but I wasn't able to find the right words to describe how exactly it helps us recover from heartbreak. But today I was able to actually did a little bit more deeply, and actually I did find kind of some of the words I wanted to use to describe how getting older helps us recover from heartbreak, and that is, I think, because of the experiences that we get as we get older. We accumulate a bunch of experiences, and all these experiences help us grow. They help us gain new perspective. They allow us to mature. And through all of that, we change as human beings as we get older, right? Hopefully. I mean, in theory, that's how it's kind of supposed to work. Getting older doesn't always mean we're growing, unfortunately. But in theory, getting older means you are, learning new lessons, you are accumulating more wisdom, you are learning things about yourself and others in the world at large. And there's something about this growth process, this cumulative growth process, that I find very healing in the face of relationship breakups or heartbreak, because you transform as you get older. You're no longer the person you were when you were heartbroken or abandoned, and getting older allows you to have kind of a wider perspective on things, and with that wisdom and with the newfound knowledge that you now have, it's not as easy to be as fixated on, a previous heartbreak, because you've accumulated more maturity. You are in another phase of life, and you've made hopefully some realizations, or you're just in a new place. You're in a new place, so you're more empowered. You're in a new position of power, hopefully a higher position of power now, being older, and that helps you recover. I think all of that is so healing and so transcending, and it all translates into post-relationship recovery. It's crazy how, when we are heartbroken, we oftentimes think oh my God, I will never be happy again. That's usually one of the cognitive distortions that I think follows heartbreak, is that I will never be happy again without this person, especially in the days following a falling out or a breakup. You are in a state of despair of I will never experience joy on that level. And I think even back then, just thinking this person isn't going to be in my life in the future, and just the thought of that is so depressing that I could kill myself just because I can't fathom a future with this person, which is it's in the moment it's crushing, and it's torturous. But as you get older and make new friends, and you're involved in new social circles, and you know yourself more, it really just becomes kind of laughable. And you look back at yourself and you're like, man, I can't believe I was that bent out of shape over the thought of this person not being in my life, which, yeah, I mean, it's sad. I think no one gets heartbroken for no reason. Obviously, people that you get heartbroken over are people that you had very valuable life experiences with, and Um, and there's reasons that why when that attachment dissolves, it's so crushing. I think it connects back to just our evolutionary need to be socially connected, and romance being so highly emphasized in modern day. Um, there's so much more weight to that. But I going back to the evolutionary needs is that, we're social creatures and we have to be connected to one another to survive. And romance is like usually the highest level of connection that we have to another person. So at some subconscious level, there's kind of like an evolutionary need for a romantic partner, and a romantic partner often symbolizes like um, you know, uh, kind of like your successful mating. And I don't know. There's some subconscious stuff. So when we get heartbroken, it represents so much more. It's like a deeper level failure, if not like a physical one, than a psychological, like maturity one. Um, but going back to just like how you think when you are heartbroken, because really the cognitive distortions are gnarly when you're heartbroken. It's usually like, I can't believe I'm not going to have this person in my life in the future. And that is so painful. That is just so crippling. Um, and then the future comes, and if you make the right decisions, and if you invest in your growth, and if you, go out, meet the right people, and you invest in the right friendships, and you invest in the right experiences, you grow, and then you find yourself just being so happy and fortunate about just like being alive. And it's crazy. Like in times where I have been heartbroken, like thinking like I can never ever be happy again, and then now being happy and just being alive, being happy and just being able to fucking breathe and go outside, or enjoy a sunset or an afternoon, or go on a walk. Like all these things are just so awesome to me. But in the midst of heartbreak, it's like you are just crippled with intrusive thoughts of hopelessness and despair and betrayal and sadness and gloom and failure. And it's so crippling. But once you've healed, it's you just find joy in existence again. You find joy in just being alone. You find joy in friendship. And at its highest, I feel that it's almost laughable when you think about like your previous self who was heartbroken. It's just funny thinking about like you thought that you could never be happy again, but then here you are, let's say a couple years down the line, and you're just super happy. At least that's been my experience. I've put a lot of work into myself, but it's just funny how now it's like I go out and I'm with my friends, or I'm doing my own little personal thing, and I'm just so full of joy. And I think a part of that joy comes from the fact that I did survive heartbreak. I did survive perceived abandonment, and that has allowed me to love myself at a deeper, more, at a more, critical isn't the word, but at a more profound level, because it's like, man, I did it. I actually got over my worst fear of not being able to live life with someone who I thought I would always be connected with. And here I am, and I'm living my life, and I'm doing what I want to do without that person, and I love myself that much more because of it, because I've proven to myself, or actually, not that I've proven to myself, but because I went through that experience, and I went through all the pain, and I went through the days and the months and perhaps some of the years of heartbreak and sadness, and I was able to survive that, and that actually has helped me foster such a high level of self-love, self-appreciation, self-prioritization, and be so fucking happy on a daily basis, and proud of myself. and appreciative of myself for being able to, you know, maintain boundaries and whatnot, and continue to work on myself, even though those people who, at some point in my life, were fundamental to my motivation in trying to grow, even though they're not here anymore, I was able to continue just by myself. So that has had a profound impact, and I think it's just wild how if you grow and you heal, you can find yourself in such a happy state of mind, being single and being by yourself, and it's so liberating. And you know, sometimes like I feel like an analogy or a metaphor I think of is kind of like heartbreak is like a massive cut, but healing is like a scab. And you know, some people like to pick at their scabs. And some personally, when I've gone to cut in the past, like it hurts the first couple of days. Of course, you're in the shower, it burns, but then it turns into a scab, and then you like pick at it, you itch at it. I personally really enjoy like scratching like a healed scab wound area. It's like pleasurable to me, and that's kind of where sometimes I find myself after heartbreak. Is like I'm in this state where it's like I can scratch the scab. It actually feels good to like scratch it, and in a sense, like it feels good to look back at old heartbreaks and just be like, I survived that, and I'm actually happy now being alone. And I've had so many thousands of experiences alone, and or with friends, or not being in that relationship, that I'm actually like so happy that I've been able to continue being alone. So yeah, all that. That is that. I will see y'all soon, YouTube.